Hello, welcome to Shad Life. Today I am going to critique my own video of me jumping. I posted a short just the other day of this jump on my MTB Hopper ramps, and I want to talk a little bit about how you can improve your skills by watching yourself on video. So let's get into it. So I have tripods and all sorts of devices because I have a YouTube channel. I've got multiple GoPros, I've got a 360 camera, so on and so forth. And I also have an Android Pixel 7 Pro. And I want to talk more about this device and all the other stuff I have because almost everybody has one of these, whether it's an iPhone or an Android. And if you have anything that's from the last 3 or so years, or probably even 5 years, you're going to have some pretty decent video functionality here. So what I recommend you do is get yourself a little stand or a little tripod that can hold your phone. Usually they have a clamp thing. For mine, since my volume things are here, I always have to clamp to the side so I'm not like automatically triggering my volume controls and power control and stuff. But yeah, find some sort of phone holder thing, right? And once you do that, you can then set up your phone to record yourself. Super easy to do. You basically just go into your camera app, and in my case, I go to video, and when I get to video, I actually have this option right here to just select slow motion, and I can select 1/8 or 1/4. 1/8 will give you even slower motion, and 1/4 will be good enough. And so I think just doing a quarter speed is fine. Eighth speed is kind of crazy. It's like really slow, and you just really don't need that fine tuning to watch yourself do jumps and so on and so forth. So yeah, I highly recommend that you do this and record yourself. And if you have a small enough setup where your phone can be in your pocket and you have this small folding tripod thing with a holder, they don't cost that much, $20 or something like that at the most. And you can just carry it in your pack, and then when you find something, on the trail or somewhere, and you're like, oh, I want to see how I ride this and improve my riding or see what I'm doing wrong, set it up and do it. If you do it on the trail, just beware, because I do stuff on the trail all the time to do my channel, that you have other riders. So don't just block people from riding stuff or whatever. Be really careful and be aware of other riders riding the trail. That's just a little plug to make sure I'm not encouraging you to go out there and interfere with other riders, especially areas where people are going higher speed, like jump lines and stuff. I highly don't recommend stopping on the trail to film yourself. If you can find a buddy to stand there while you do it, that's even better. But most other stuff you can do, or if you have like a jump that's singular, like my MTB Hopper I'm about to show you, then you can just practice all on your own in a safer environment. So yeah, let's get into this, and I'm going to critique my own jumping, and I'll show you how you can really nail down and work on perfecting your technique. Okay, you can clearly see that I am literally on here on my Windows computer using just my regular Windows device. One of the things you'll need to do is make sure that your video is actually in slow motion. I of course edited it, this one. You can even view this on your phone. That's the nice thing about using the phone is, here is that you can actually use your phone right in the moment and watch yourself in slow motion and scroll back and forth and really get into the nitty gritty. So here, let's critique my jump, because I noticed something about me. One of the things, and if you've been following my channel, I've talked about this quite a bit, is I tend to want to racer jump. And racer jumping means that basically you're going to try to go low, and just all you're trying to do is clear the jump and make the landing. So you're trying to go, if you watch my cursor here, you're trying to go more straight across, and you're not trying to pop up high and then come down. I've been working on trying to get more and more pop and going up higher and coming down, because I tend to be like, I just want to clear this. I just want to racer jump it or whatever. And so what happens is as I'm coming up the lip, and I see this with a lot of people, you tend to, as soon as your front wheel comes off the lip, you push the handlebars forward and start aiming for the landing, and you'll generally will have your eyes glued on the landing. You should anyway. And I've worked really hard to get out of this habit. What's interesting is I did a pretty good job here. So I'm coming up, right? So you can see my preload. I'm pushing down, right? And then I'm coming up, and you hear a lot of people talk about standing up, right? That's kind of this new thing I'm hearing. Like, there's me going from the crouch to standing up, right? So everything's good here. All good, all good, all good, all good, all good. Look what's happening to the rear wheel. And look what I'm doing with my arms. So I'm waiting definitely later, because when I had this habit before, my back wheel would start coming off probably back where this first orange support is, with about halfway up the ramp, my back wheel would be coming off the ramp. So now I'm really trying to hold and avoid pushing forward. But I still do it, so you can see my back wheel come off, and you can see my arms starting to come forward. I'm not quite off the end of the ramp. And you'll see there that my tire is clearly not rolling fully off. And technically, where I should be in this position on the jump is if you drew a line, followed this curve and drew a line from the ramp as if it's launching me. If you drew a line straight off of this, it should probably, my front wheel, the bottom of my front wheel should be probably closer to where my axle is. Maybe not quite that high, but pretty close. And then I will go more up. And then I push forward, tuck. Everything's perfect here. I mean, I do everything textbook, tuck. Everything's fine. It's just that I could probably go a half a foot higher if I was to, you can see where I start pushing forward right there. If I just hold off 1 split second longer. So that gives me something to work on, right? And this is why doing this slow motion stuff is super critical. And then you see me tuck. Now, another thing that I want you to notice is where your front wheel goes is where your rear wheel is going to follow if you're doing proper jump technique. So what I want to do is see where my front axle is. It's easier to look at where the axle is. I mean, you can look at this space below my tire too, but right there, kind of that little, that tree and this stuff. Now watch where my rear axle goes. Isn't that amazing? Like, it's in the exact same spot where my front wheel went. So that is something that you want to understand, whether you're bunny hopping, jumping, or anything like that. The back of your bike should follow where the front of your bike goes. So if you're trying to clear something, if you get your front wheel over it, as long as you do the proper technique here where you're pushing forward, absorbing with your legs, tucking your bike, your back wheel should follow right in line and also clear that thing. If you're jumping through the air and you're in this like kind of vertical position, like sometimes people will jump and they'll never get out of this position. They'll be in this position the whole time they're through the air. Their back wheel will be hanging below their front wheel. That isn't an appropriate jump, and it's actually kind of scary, and it also means you're pretty stiff. You want, as soon as you come off the jump, You want to be able to push forward on the bars and absorb that back end so it comes up and gets launched by the ramp. Because my back wheel is still being launched by the ramp. It's just being launched by the ramp back here and not right there where I really want it to be. So that's why I don't get quite as high as I would like to get. I mean, that's still pretty good air, but it's not as good as it could be, and I can, critique myself like that. And then I come down, and I probably could have done a better job nosediving, because look where my front wheel lands. It lands 2/3 of the way down the ramp. My back wheel lands right on the edge, right? So, ideally, even, if I was to do better pop here, I'd go higher, and then I could do a better nosedive and get my front wheel to land closer to the top of the ramp. Because in this case, I'm doing a very subtle racer jump, that's going to cause me to be going more this way instead of up and down, if that makes sense. Like racer jumping, you're going to go more forward than you are high, so all your momentum is going to be forward. Then it makes it a much more difficult challenge to nosedive and get your front wheel to actually come in onto the ramp. A lot of people equate this to pretending like you're riding a spine, but I don't think a lot of people have ridden spines before, and I honestly always struggled with spines, so maybe that's something I should go do, is go find a spine, a nice medium-sized one that I'm comfortable with, and really work on that up and then turn and coming straight back down. Because every time I've ridden a spine, I always kind of go out. So in order for me to do it smooth, I always push myself to the side and kind of go off with a little bit of a carve, because I'm going to travel and then I can land on the backside of the spine. But if I go straight on a spine and come straight down, I'll land at the bottom of the transition. So that's something I could probably work on, and a spine might be a good place for me to really work on this technique, because that right there is not what I want ideally. I'm definitely much improved at this, and when I'm actually on my bike and riding, it's really hard to tell that I'm doing it, because I'm just going by feel. I can't actually see my tire, but that's why this video is so cool, is I can film myself and then realize, oh yeah, I still pushed forward before my back wheel came off the ramp, and so on and so forth. So the nice thing is I'm getting better, because I used to see my tire come off way back here on the ramp. Now I'm waiting later and coming off near the top. But ideally I want to roll off the top. So there you have it. Just another tool in your arsenal. Your phone. Everybody's got one. I shouldn't say everybody, but pretty much everyone I know has them. And it's a great tool, and just set yourself up for slow motion, quarter speed, whatever. And then, you can even just use your phone. You don't need this fancy software that I got to do it, and then you can just scroll back and forth and watch your slow motion on your phone, and right then and there while you're riding you can be like, oh, I did this wrong, or I want to improve this, and then you can get back on your bike and hit it again, and then look at it again and see if you improved, and see if it felt better, if it looks better, if it's doing what you expect it to do, and you can start gradually making improvements. And this doesn't have to be just jumping. You can do this with anything. You can do it with riding a rock garden. Did you pick a good line? Why was it so chunky? Why did my front wheel get caught on something? And then you can be like, oh, I just totally picked a terrible line, right? Something like that. So there you have it. Hopefully you find this video helpful. Appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.